Hey, before we delve into things, I just want to tell you about our Liverpool streaming service. It is Redmen Plus. Get involved over there for extra Redmen shows in video form, in podcast form. You've got documentaries, features, interviews, and a hell of a lot more besides. If you join as a club legend, you get the Discord chat, you'll get free merchandise and a host of extra bonus perks. It's like Netflix for Liverpool fans. Get over there, get involved. Otherwise, let's face it, you're going to miss out on amazing Liverpool stuff in your life. Hello everyone, it is the build-up show again for a football match that may not go ahead again, but you know we've got to be here regardless, and I'm joined by Sam Walker and by Jamie Cranford for this one as well. Liverpool Ajax, as it stands at time we are live, it is going ahead, so we're going to continue to press on with all of that. If you are over on Twitter watching us live right now and you want to watch this full show, then head over to youtube.com/Redmen TV right now. After the fact, if you're on podcasting services, if you want to leave us a 5-star review, that would be absolutely awesome. And if you're watching live here on YouTube or after the fact, drop a like on it as well. That would be absolutely splendid. Sam, here we are. There's probably going to be a game on Tuesday night. Jurgen's just done his press conference. A couple of times he made reference to, like, if it goes ahead, if it goes ahead. That's just kind of where we're at. It'd be a bit mad to postpone it, just over 28 hours or so and away from it or whatever. But you wouldn't be shocked either.
No, I think, as you say, though, with Ajax probably being here by now or very close to, and with their fans probably travelled or travelling, it wouldn't be ethical, I think, to cancel it now. But, let's be honest, the Queen died last week. If they were going to, and the game got cancelled the weekend very, sharply. So I think if they were going to postpone these games, they were going to, and from what I'm told, UEFA have got no interest in postponing them. Really, it's kind of like a you problem.
Yes,
which is what it is. So I think the game does go ahead. It's still a bit mad because there probably is an outside chance something happens and it doesn't. But as we sit here, I can't wait to watch a game of football, to be honest. Yeah,
looking forward to it. I mean, things we're kind of referencing, Jamie, it's just been announced before we went on air. UEFA today announced that the Europa League tie between Arsenal and PSV Eindhoven, originally to be played on Thursday the 15th, has been postponed with a new date to be communicated. This is due to severe limitations on police resources and organisational issues relating to the ongoing events surrounding the national mourning for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So we're seeing football games, we're seeing European games being postponed, and we're getting this vibe ahead of the weekend as well. It seems to be London being the epicentre of this, us being up in the northwest.
Yeah,
we should be reasonably immune to this.
At least they've mentioned the police resources in the statement rather than it being related to any period of mourning or whatever, because let's not forget there were games played on the actual day that she died. I know the London Stadium is probably going to be a bit more of a royalist crowd than Anfield, but sure. Generally speaking. But I think certainly now, however many days after the fact, we've had cricket going on today and this weekend. We've had various different types of sporting events now, so I think it's time to get some fussy back on, isn't it, for the rest of us?
Yeah, no, it is, and look, it's just where we're at the moment. I mean, we did a good old chat about this on the podcast this week, me, Chris and Steen. It does look, and we don't know for certain yet about the Chelsea game at the weekend, Sam, but it seems likely if they're postponing Arsenal games on a Thursday, the idea of Liverpool playing Chelsea the day before the state funeral, that seems very, very unlikely. So it's more important, really, that this one does go ahead, because Liverpool just want to just play football matches, and moreover, there's no space in the schedule at all between now and Christmas, and all you're doing is kicking that down the line till post World Cup, which is going to lead to its own set of problems.
Yeah, and you feel for Arsenal in a sense, if you ever do feel for them, because they've got 2 Premier League games. Because let's be honest, Brentford versus Arsenal's not happening this weekend. And a Europa League game, which is just going to be an absolute nightmare for them. For us, I'll be honest with you, I really want to play Champions League football this week. Yeah. If I could have picked the game that we definitely played, it was Ajax, because it's an opportunity for us to put right what went wrong last week, more importantly. And in terms of the league, the way things have gone, I'm happy for us to just have another pre-season, to be honest, and resume in December, if you ask me. Get everyone back, train. So yeah, if I could have picked a game, it was definitely this one. I want to play midweek atmosphere, get the crowd up again. You know, we need that special spark to get us going, and I think it just makes sense. It still baffles me, to be fair, that the cricket was on with they would have need police in there, and there was other things going on in London, but they cancelled on the footy. It's still a bit not quite right for me, but it is what it is, and we're in Merseyside, so you know we should be fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just a few notes from Jürgen's press conference. Chloe is recording the press conference reaction as we speak, which will be going up on Plus. You know, just to give you all the insight into really what Jürgen was saying, and the big key points. If it's like, you know, too long, didn't read or whatever, you really want to know, then Chloe's got you covered on that one. But a couple of points. Jürgen obviously not happy with the Napoli performance, and he was quite unequivocal that on the 9th, Jamie, to get a second opportunity in another press conference to kind of talk about it. You know, he called it a horror show, worst game since he was there. That's
quite strong, isn't it?
And
it's got to be up there.
I don't think many would disagree. You know, you talk about probably Tottenham Hotspur away, Villa, during COVID, but it's all true. It's been true for a few weeks, and he's actually been quite strong in his assessment in that period as well. Ajax are home. I mean, they're a good team, but it's at home. We'll be chomping at the bit to get back out there. The players will be. Yeah. They really need to go out there and try and put some wrongs. We want to see it in effort more than anything else. You know, go out there and look like you're dying for the shirt. If you don't get a result, then, you know, we'll deal with that as and when. But I don't want to see any more lads lolling about the pitch. I want to see nothing less than full commitment.
Yeah, I saw the first half of them against Rangers last week, and I think Rangers were maybe a bit overawed, but they looked very good. A lot of pace down the wings, great finish from, I can't remember the lad's name now, left-footed right into the top corner, so could be a tricky proposition, but I'm hoping they're going to, what they should do is just go, we're just going to fly at you and see where we are, but I'm hoping they're going to come, you know, the surroundings of being at Anfield, they're going to think, no, come on, we've got to sit in a bit, and definitely need an improvement from last week. It's funny, but I was sat here last week and we were going like, there's no time to make any changes. There's no, you know, and it looks like it. What an odd reason for us to have a potential time for the manager and the players to get together and say, right, if we're not playing Premier League football until October, we can try and sort out some of the things that have been going on, but we need to try and start sorting things out starting tomorrow.
That was what we said on the podcast, is that it's annoying because I think as much as there's a physical requirement that's being asked of Liverpool, and they haven't really got the depths to match that, they'd have been desperate to get out, and I think Jürgen would have wanted to chuck them out against Wolves just to go, get out there, you pricks, and go and show. They've had the thing is that they've got that, Sam, but they've also had a full week to prepare for this game, for one opponent they've been able to look ahead to. So, look, again, Ajax are a good team. We'll talk about them in a minute, but this is one of them. There just needs to be a reaction now, because we're fast getting to the point where the season, it's not fucked yet.
No.
But we're not more than a handful of games away from being in really deep trouble.
Yeah, you are. You're a loss in the Champions League and a loss in the Premier League away from being pretty much out of the Premier League and really struggling in the Champions League, aren't you? Yeah. So yeah, I agree. We've just got to be better, Paul. There's all these opinions and ideas of what we should and shouldn't do, but quite frankly, we need to be better at what we do. We need to be better at football. Yeah. You know, we're seeing professional footballers who have played football their whole lives, all day, every day, struggle to play 8-yard passes. Yeah. So we just need to be fitter, stronger. And I keep saying it, we just need to be better. We just need to be a better football team. We need to believe in what we're doing a bit more, and we need to just be ready to match whatever Ajax have got and bring it to us. I think I actually quite like this fixture stylistically. I know you want to talk about Ajax in a second, but I like it because I like it when we play against teams that are a bit braver. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good way to segue into it, really. You know, I actually lost the manager, lost the centre half, and lost Anthony. You know, and they've made lots and lots of of changes over the last, you know, since we played them last. They've opened the season. Well, their preparation in reverse order. They won 5-0 at Heerenveen at the weekend. They beat Rangers 4-0 midweek. They beat Camber 4-0 before that. They beat Utrecht away 2-0. They beat Sparta Rotterdam 1-0. They beat Groningen 6-1. They beat Fortuna Sittard 3-2 to open the season. They've got 6 wins out of 6 at the top of the Eredivisie at the moment. 21 goals scored in 6 games, conceded just 3.
it's going to be an interesting test, but I agree with Sam. Hopefully, the Liverpool that I know and we've come to, and the one we've come to love in recent years, should be relishing a team that's probably going to think they can take something at Liverpool here. Yeah. This is not a team that is going to go unpardonable. This is where Champions League can give you a bit of a chance to reset. Napoli were never really going to be, the ideal opponent, but no. I'm not saying Ajax are ideal, but a good team, good game of football, good chance for both to kind of showcase what they do, and hopefully that's something that can reignite a spark in the Reds.
Yeah, I mean, Napoli, in terms of our position, Napoli, I don't think any of us expected to maybe lose the way we lost, but we've lost the last few seasons. You can't afford to lose, well, maybe two's pushing it a bit, but if you're looking at 10-ish points plus is normally enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, style-wise, I mean, they've got the likes of Tadic, they've got a few ball players, people who can pick passes in the middle of the field. We just don't want to be stretched like we have been against, well, a lot of, Isak causes problems, Zaha scoring against us, Napoli, I can't remember the fella's name.
Yeah, the striker.
Yeah, the number 9 for it looks really good. We want to try and avoid that. Obviously, we're expecting to have more of the ball, so there is still that chance of them taking us on the counter. But the way they play, they tend to want to. Obviously, if you look at some of those results, they're going to be dominating the ball. They're going to have the lion's share of possession. So you'd still expect us to dominate the ball at home. So hopefully that it might be a bit of a change for them, not getting what they used to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's right. Look, again, it's one of those teams where we looked at our group last year and there were good teams in there, but we should be better than these teams, and it'll be a different question when we're over in Amsterdam and they're at home with all their fans behind them. You'd expect that to be a closer game. I'm not expecting Liverpool to wipe the floor with this, and particularly not this Liverpool and how they're performing, but it's maybe actually not the kind of test that you really want. We could probably have done with another. Wolves was an interesting one because it was going to be another team likely to put a load of men behind the ball and a similar test and an aggressive and use pace on the counter and that kind of stuff, but it does make you wonder whether Ajax might shift, because there's clearly a very easy way to beat Liverpool at the moment, Sam, and it is get your men behind the ball when you can and then twat balls over the top and run onto them. They'll certainly have the capability to do that. Bergwijn certainly got that in his locker. But yeah, I think this is a nice, I don't know, honestly, I should be here saying this will be a good game, we should win this quite comfortably, but I've had my mood totally and utterly undercut by how we performed. Fingers crossed they turn up. I mean, they kind of, I think if you got to keep Anfield on side, and our form at Anfield's been fine, so we should be okay. We shouldn't be making too much of a drama of this, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this fixture and I think to myself, let's look at Ajax first. The games they've played, I think Bournemouth would have won most of those games. Genuinely, I think Bournemouth, who were awful in the Premier League, struggling, or Leicester, the team we beat 9-0, I think I back to beat 5 of the 6 teams that Ajax have played this season.
Rangers fans screaming at you now.
You know what I mean? But let's just be real. Rangers are a championship level team, really. Let's be honest. So, and when you play championship teams away, it's hard. Yeah. So when we play Rangers away, it will be hard. I'm not saying any otherwise. But what I think is teams like Ajax only play one way. They play progressive football. They can't just suddenly go back into a shell. They can be a little bit more pragmatic at times, but when you play in the Premier League and you are a pragmatic team, you are the master of being pragmatic, and you make minimum mistakes. You boot the ball clear. You play high percentage football. These teams aren't going to do that. They're still going to pass it around. They're still going to play risky balls. I keep saying this, we just need to be better. We need to stop giving the ball away in stupid areas. If we stop doing that, we won't let them have a free ball. Henderson's touch, that was like a curb at United. Just don't do that and we'll be okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's true. That's what we talked about though, about endeavour. And look, we had a good old chat about this, and we had a bit of a heated debate on the podcast between the three of us, but it was, injuries are a thing. They have absolutely upset what Liverpool are trying to do this season. I'm not be asked to get into the Liverpool should have bought more, Liverpool should have sold more, whatever. It is what it is. This is where we're at. But the lads who are available, there's no the help that's coming is the help that's there. The only players are there, the players that are there. They've got to collectively dig in and find a way to make it happen for us, because you can't write a season off in September. And the Champions League represents an opportunity to look, that get through the group, get out the group, have your break, and worry about it in February. You know, revisit that as and when down the line. The circumstances might have changed completely before then. But again, Liverpool just need to get up and run. It's going to hurt. But this team normally revels in the hurt and the pain and the stress and the strain of every how we play and the responsibilities that fall upon you as Liverpool players and the workload that comes with being a Premier League footballer in a team that's going to try and challenge for European honours as well. So they just need to just go back to basics. And that basics is a team that works dead hard and loves pain. At the moment, they don't look like that kind of team. They look like a kind of team who've fallen for the hype of we're brilliant now and everything's going to work really hard for us. And that happens to teams when they reach the top sometimes. You know, it's like all of us. I wouldn't have the appetite to go back to starting a YouTube channel, a Liverpool YouTube channel from scratch now. I'd find that quite terrifying, the idea. And if you put me into it, I'm not sure I'd be able to put the same levels of effort in that I did in the first 5 years of setting this one up. But this is where they're at now. You know, these lads need to find new resources. They need to dig deep. They need to be, you know, reborn, and hopefully that break has given them a bit of something. That being said, there's fresh injury worries which we'll come on to after the break. But Scott Hawks has sent us a super chat, $25. Thank you, Scott. He says, going into hospital today, hoping A, I don't find any more injured players there, and B, when I wake up this season so far will have just been a dream. Well, yeah, God, if only, mate. But yeah, all the best to Scott. Obviously everyone's sending lots of positivity in the comments towards Scott. I hope that you're all good and you do come out, and hopefully if it's been maybe it hasn't been all a dream, but it can be a dream moving forward. So that would be
it's all part of the story.
Yeah, exactly. I said this before, put a tweet out yesterday, like there's an alternate universe developing where Liverpool have 2 league games cancelled because of the Queen dying and the mourning period, and they end up going on, reboot themselves and end up going on a massive run and have a successful season, and that would be hilarious that one of the least royal friendly cities or whatever, you know, fan bases ends up getting a bonus of it. But we'll have to see on that. That's science fiction writer stuff at this point. Okay, so we're going to take a very short break. Got a trivia question before we go. Normally I'll really dive into the archives for this one, but I didn't go too far on this one because I thought it was quite interesting. What was our starting 11 the last time we played Ajax at Anfield? Answers after this.
Yeah! Thiago la cansada. Thiago la cansada. Thiago. Mo Salah, Mo Salah, Mo Salah. Golden's out Salah, la, 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 the Egyptian name.
Yes, welcome back. If you need some happiness and some bounciness in your life, then check out the Ragamuffins live at Hotel Anfield, streaming exclusively on redmenplus.com. We had an absolute belter of a time, and so much so that Chris and I are going on a live tour with them this week. We fly out to LA on Wednesday, so if you're around for that one, we're going to be at Huntington Beach on Thursday and Friday, I think. Check copconnect.com. We're then going down to Las Vegas. We're going to be at McMullen's pub, I think that's what that's called as well, in Vegas as well. Big party times. Chris Pajak for a start. Just go and see Chris Pajak, but I'll be there. Bruce Grobble, I'll be there. Ronnie Whelan will be there. The Ragamuffins and Mark Kenny as well. Massive parties. We're taking over the west coast of the United States, and if you want to get yourself in the mood, or if you've got a bit of FOMO, you know, if you can't get over to the west coast of America in short, you know, in the next couple of days, check out Ragamuffins live on Redmen Plus. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so I asked the question, what was our starting 11 the last time we played Ajax at Anfield? Sam, you've been working your way through it. Go on, give me what you got.
I want to say Kelleher because I know Alisson was injured for the Wolves game. It was around that time.
Correct. Kevin Kelleher in
Robertson, because Simicast didn't play many games.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Robertson left back.
Okay, centre half. Did Reece Williams play?
He was on the bench.
Fabinho. Had Gomez been injured by that point?
Fabinho
centre half.
Yep.
Matip.
With Matip. Yep.
Right back, Nico.
Right
He
back.
got the assist. Centre midfield would have been Gini Wijnaldum, played every minute of every game, didn't he?
Yeah, basically. Yep.
Gini Wijnaldum, Curtis Jones.
Yep.
And Henderson.
Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
Up front would then be Mane and Salah are safe bets.
Yep.
And Bobby. Jota.
Nearly.
Two out with two out.
Our bench, out of interest: Adrian, Vitislav Jaros, Kostas, Reece Williams, Jake Kane, Leighton Clarkson, Bobby Firmino, Taki Minamino, and Divock Origi.
Wow.
Yeah. Wild. Yeah, we won that game 1-0. Kurt Jones.
Yeah, remember
with
that.
the goal. If you got that one, brilliant. Well done. You've actually got a memory which I certainly do not possess. I really struggle with that. Yeah, I think. Let me just. Oh no. SS in the comments nearly got it right. He had Firmino in there as well, unless that was your prediction for this week. Anyway, it's fine. Well done to everyone who got that right, even if you just play it after the fact and you said it in your own head. you know you got it right. Okay, injuries. Yeah, wow. Fabio Carvalho is back. That's been confirmed by the manager. That is good. Andy Robertson is out until at least after the international break. Picture with a knee brace. I mean, honestly, we were saying it around the office before, Sam. It's just, I know Klopp made the whole like witch in the training ground comment, but it does makes you feel cursed. It's when things go beyond normal expectations or understanding, you can't help but throw mad statements out there. But just felt like we were turning a corner injury wise. Thiago back, great to see him play in Napoli at the end. You know, we've just. You know, by the end of the international break, there was a chance that, barring the obvious big ones, we could have most people back. And now, there's Andy Robertson down again.
If he's out for the international break and they're just being smart about it and they know he's going to be back, then okay, we can deal with this. If it's going to be one of those Thiago 2021... Yeah, we think he's back soon, and then the room, it's 3 months. Then it's a major problem after the World Cup job, because it isn't that far off, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my good friends who's an Arsenal fan and now lives in Cornwall. He's not a Liverpool hater, shall we say. He texted me before with the news and he said it's happening again, and I was just like, it's not, but it is as well.
but it's happening again, and people can talk about like the signings and all that kind of stuff. Liverpool got so many footballers, but it's mad. You know, I went to do the injury check, and it's out of date. The website we normally use for it is now out of date. But it was 8 players out, and then 1 or 2 are back, and then again we're hovering around the 8 or 9 injured players constantly, basically since the first week of the season, and that's. I mean, look, Liverpool needs to be careful. It goes back to the psychology of all this, Jamie. They need to be careful on how they talk about this, and I don't know how you can create a siege mentality against injury, but there needs to be something there where they go, well, who gives a shit, right? You know, who's fit, who's ready, you know, like battle cry type stuff. Who's ready to don their armour and pick up the sword and fight for Liverpool? Can you do it? I can, boss. You know, shoulder strain on the way up, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
You to get Michael Sheen in. I don't know if anyone's seen that video.
Yeah.
The Axe is a new build. There's a question for it's a new build. Can you have a witch or a ghost in a new build?
Depends what it was built on. Was it built on some sort of burial site?
Because it does feel a bit like that at the moment. I guess we're in a better situation than there's been a few years where it's basically James Milner is the full-back cover, or a bit of Gomez, and then there's been times when Gomez has been out. So at least we've had with Kostas. If this was 2 years ago, it'd have been a really crushing blow. But I think at least we've all, if it says out for 5-6 games, I think we're all probably happy with Kostas to play those games.
This time last year, maybe a little bit later, we were getting into sort of November. We were putting polls out saying who should start at left back, and we were getting 50-50 responses from thousands of votes over Kostas and Robbo. We've managed to get him up to speed. We've tried to rest Robbo to protect him, but at least we've gotten Kostas some minutes under his belt, so we're not even like in 2021. Klopp wouldn't trust him in because he just wasn't there and ready. Where he is now, he's had a positive impact on the team and he knows how we play.
Yeah, it's felt like with the injury situation, I mean, maybe I can't remember individual games, but pretty much it's been these are the 3 lads that are available, or there's one on the bench, or or there's one who's on the bench who's been injured, like Jones was on the bench for one game. Naby was supposed to be coming back, and then his mysterious
fell over.
Injury came upon him. So I think it has been, in terms of like, people have said, oh, we need to rest Fabinho, we need to bin Henderson, we need to bin Milner, all of this. There hasn't really been too much he could do. The only maybe surprise has been starting Carvalho and Elliott against Everton, but other than that, it's pretty much been, these are the lads we've got available. So that's definitely had an effect on our form, and I don't know about our midfield options for this, but it doesn't. Well, Thiago should be coming back in.
Well, that's the big boost in this one, because the midfield stuff, Curtis Jones ruled out, Carvalho is available again, but we still don't really know whether that's, he's been considered a midfield option, but I don't know. I don't think he starts the Merseyside derby in centre mid in any other world where there's more than a couple more. If Jones had been fully fit and if Thiago went back, Carvalho's nowhere near that side, the starting side anyway. Konate's still out, although it looks like he's getting closer and closer. Henderson's going to be at least after the international break. So you're looking at, if I don't want to know people watching at home or listening at home, you let me know your midfield threes, because you're talking Fabinho, Thiago, Elliott, Carvalho, Milner and Artur. So the 6 potential options there.
Yeah, that's it.
And Bajcetic, 7, and there've been some glowing praise coming out about Stefan Bajcetic this week as well. It's not ideal, but we do actually have some options for the first time.
Yeah, and with having a week off, basically, effectively, isn't it, 6 days, it will have given, when we found out the game, they would have probably known before we did, they would have probably got the nod. In fact, I know for a fact they did, because I've told you I've got a bit of insight there, and they would have been, right, okay, we've got a 3-day plan now that we didn't have. So for the likes of Artur, it's like, right, you've got 3 more days of football that you wouldn't have had, because we're not prepping for the game, you're not starting in, playing the game and having a rest day. You literally got training sessions. So for Thiago, for Artur, much better. For Jota, better. So for those players who are on the comeback trail, it's much better for them to be able to sort of get in the mould of playing the game and planning for Ajax ahead. So I'm pleased on that front. I don't think we're going to start Artur, or Artur, whatever you want to call him, because I just still think he's probably after the international break, when he's had another 2 weeks. Just makes sense, doesn't it? I think
Elliott, match sharpness, doesn't he?
And Elliott's had a week off, and he's probably needed to have that 6-day break. You know what I mean? Which is perfect. And you've got lads off the bench now. You've got potentially Carvalho, you've got Artur, you've got Milner off the bench. You can do different jobs. So I think it would make sense for it to be Thiago, Elliott, and Fabinho this weekend. And I'm all for that. To be honest, I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I can't really see beyond that, to be perfectly honest. We asked the club legends, and Tom Star 9902 says Fab, Thiago, Elliott, surely he won't play Milner again. Says maybe Artur for Elliott, and that might be a slight possibility. One other thing, actually, Jürgen mentioned Naby Keita and said that he's not going away on international duty, which is, I did this video on this, Guinea have got precedence. In fact, one thing I found was last year he missed the West Ham game through injury, and there was an international break just after it, and they were expecting him back, and he was called up again by Guinea then, but didn't go. They just have this tendency to call them up, and then they find out whether they can really go or not, which is it's not a great PR move for Naby at the moment, but the hope is he'll be back fit after the international break potentially, and then we'll see. We'll know then when he's fit and available. And does he get thrown back in? Is he back on the bench? Because at this point he's good football. I know people go hot and cold with him, and he's never really dominated since he's joined the Liverpool. He's not fulfilled the potential we all thought he had. But at this point, we talked about it. The midfield options. Anyone fit and available, get your hand up in the air, get your hand up and get your kit on and get out there. I guess the other one, to about sharpness, Sam, is Jota. Yeah. I probably would have started him at the weekend. We're just in that weird situation now where, because he's not been available, I'm not really sure. Is it him and Núñez in rotation for the 9? Is it him and Diaz in rotation for the left side? Diaz probably needed a break, but now he's had that little break. I would still contend that Diaz, Jota and Salah's probably our best front today.
I would have played Jota on the left, and I would have probably guessed Diaz is probably the only one. Salah doesn't get rotated. But Diaz, and to be fair, looking at his minutes last year, neither does he. But I think it would have made sense with him being relatively new to the side and Salah being a senior player that he would have played on the left. That would have been then. Possibly that carries forward to this week. I don't know what Diaz's plans are in the international break, where he's got to go, what he's got to do. Reality is we're not playing Chelsea. We've said that already. For me, I want to see Núñez now. I think it's stupid to bring in a player with that much quality, that much power and presence, and that much money, and drip him in and out the team. It just doesn't make sense to me. If our team's going to get used to playing with Núñez, he needs to play games.
Yeah.
I was actually a little bit disappointed that he was pulled out the side after the derby, because he'd only played one game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He should. I think away at Napoli would have been more of an option than Bobby turned out to be.
So
I want him to play.
My biggest fear on all this, and I'd said it in the build-up to the season, I thought we were going to go with the tried and tested for the first month of the season, or month and a half, up until this international break, drip feed in some of the newer lads, and then you can then start your transition. Whereas because of it, we've had to either play the old lads too much, or the next evolution of this team just hasn't been able to take. And Núñez's red card doesn't help in that.
Yeah,
but
massively.
said this, not being able to not have Calvin Ramsey available since signing, no one knows if he's even good enough to play, let alone where he's really at. Kanate being injured, Jota being injured as well. You just, and then obviously Núñez getting suspended. It's totally undercut what we were hoping to do. So I agree on the Núñez thing, but I don't know whether you can put the genie back in the bottle. But I liked him as a 30 minutes. When everyone's knackered and maybe space opens up a little bit more, as we saw in the Community Shield, do with him what City do with Haaland. That's when your through balls come out and you can start to have him chase some stuff down and running and stuff. That's the real difficult thing, isn't it, Jamie? Of how do you? We're just we're throwing whatever we've got fit out on the pitch. We're not really having it doesn't look like we've got a grand overarching plan at the moment. I
would have started Núñez against Wolves, but he could bring Jota in on the left. Because Diaz, he has looked a bit tired in the last few weeks. He does work his socks off till for 90 minutes. I was just wondering if Jota, if it was a bit soon to throw him in from the start, but he's had that extra couple of days now. If he isn't totally firing on all cylinders, they could still do Núñez in the 9 and start with Diaz. But I wouldn't be averse to bringing Jota in. I feel like Núñez, I don't know he's made his name, certainly in our eyes, in Europe. I know he scored goals domestically in Portugal, but this game feels like a game where I want to see him from the start, and I want to see what he's got against European opposition.
Yeah, the problem, I don't know where you start with Núñez though, because he looks awkward, and all big lads look awkward in footy. It's very, very hard to look silky when you're 6'3" or whatever above. We look at like Lewandowski and he's got there, but like a Ronaldo or whatever. But
even Haaland looks a bit funky outside the box, doesn't he?
He's mad, isn't he? He's just he shouldn't work. There's no logical reason why he should work as a human being biologically, But it is what it is. But I don't know where he's at. Whether that should become smoother with more football. But we're also in a situation where we could just do being clinical from the off, and that's people watching, listening. Let me know if you had to choose between Jota and Núñez to start centre forward. Let us know what you would do in that one, because obviously Jota's got to get the smoothness back from getting back into the game and getting back match sharp and getting back to match fitness, and that will naturally, I think, come more quickly with him. It's good to have options. It's good to have a where we can have a debate about. We've got 3 now. Fine, we've got 3 fit options for the number 9. It's just whether we want to, do we want to keep plugging away with Núñez and the risk of maybe not getting over the line and stuff. I don't know. He feels to me like we'll get the best out of him in the back end of the season, but how do you put that in place to make that a success? He's going to have to start some games of football. It could well be this one.
It's gonna be a confidence thing. My worry with him is confidence, and what I mean by that is he's young. He's just turned 23. If he goes too many games of being messed about in and out, with Jota, I completely agree with what you're saying. Is him and Jota can play similarly, slightly different. But the problem is we've got with Firmino is Firmino used to step into the midfield and drag defenders everywhere, and now they just go on mate, off you go. We're not really bothered anymore. So that part of his game is ineffective. He scored 3 goals this year, so he's obviously done something right. But largely his all-around sort of play and the way he pulls people about isn't happening anymore. So therefore we look at Jota and Núñez and think, well, both of those two slightly different ways can work the back two. So what I want to see now is I want to see our team working the back two and being used to having one of those two up front all the time, because then it'll help Núñez. Because if Jota's winning headers, back post and scoring goals, naturally he will get those opportunities as well, because we're playing those passes we're used to him being there. But if we start dripping into Firmino one week, Jota one week, it's just not going to do anyone any good. And that's what it's felt like. We've rotated the front three far too much this season.
Yeah, no, everything's been more rotated than it needs to be. We need a bit of stability. And again, for me, Jota's kind of, because he's been so in and out because of injuries and overwork, it's almost like we've forgotten how brilliant he is and how lethal he is. For me, you know, there was a chat. We very nearly had the top 3 goal scorers in the Premier League last season. You know, that was on for a spell. For me, get him in the team. Kind of worry about Nunes as and when. For me, Jota's proven 20 goals a season you'll get out of him, and I think I want to see how he works. And there's also an option, if you want to break glass, put Nunes up there along with him late in the game, or then take Diaz off and put Nunes in, move Jota out to there, but he gets closer, he'll be more likely to feed off the scraps. It's vital for me that we get Jota up to 100% match sharpness, because he carries so much burden for the team in terms of goal scoring return. Another shout here actually from Joe Day, the super chat says, would you consider a change of formation? I mean, that's one thing, isn't it, Jamie? Having attacking options, having the 4 now available, does mean that we could actually go to 4-2-4 or 4-2-3-1 if we really wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a Mike Bassis 4-4-2, is it? You know, it's going to be. He's done the 4 forwards. He notably did it against City a couple of years ago. There's been, I mean, I know we were. Caveat this by saying we were 7-0 up or whatever, but by the end of Bournemouth, we had Carvalho and Elliott were pretty much playing as like 10s. We had, you know, there was something different going on there than I was used to seeing. We could, I still think it'll feel like the 3 up front. Everything's all kind of transitory anyway, with people swapping positions and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think there's probably just something here where, particularly because we tend to go to 4-2-4, I think that's when the game, you know what the game's going to be, and that's like 20 minutes at the end of a game where the opposition give up all auspices of trying to attack, and your mission is you've got the ball, you've got 100% of the ball, go and score a goal. We need to get our midfield functioning again for me, and I don't think it's changing to a 2-man midfield when more and more teams play 3-man midfield is going to be the answer.
The other thing with it is would you see Salah as the right hand most of the 4? Because I just feel like there'll naturally be a thing of, which I know he does track back. There's people saying, "Oh, he doesn't." He does track back. When if those widest 2 players with Diaz and Salah, when you lose the ball, I want the pair of them to be closer to goal than they have been, and I feel like that being another player there, it's not going to be a you know, Niall Quinn and Kevin Phillips situation up front, is it? But I'm a bit wary about, especially given the trouble we've had in the midfield, of going to a 2 in midfield at this stage. But it could be something to do in certain games.
No, absolutely. It'll certainly have its time and place. You know, we win Champions Leagues and leagues by having plan Bs that you go to, but the idea is exactly. I just don't think we want to be radically changing our style or system or whatever, because I honestly, ultimately, because I think teams that fight for top 4 play 4-2-3-1. I think teams that dominate the football play 4-3-3. You know, and we've been there. I don't really want to see us make too many steps back from that. Right, one more quick break from us, and we're going to pick our 11s and have another little look at the fixtures around the Champions League this week, the ones that we know are on. Check back after this. German Scousers is a brand new documentary on Redmen Plus that explores the connection between Liverpool Football Club, its city and the country. From the Beatles' days in Hamburg to Jurgen Klopp's reign at Anfield, there has always been a strong connection between Liverpool and Germany. We meet Andre Vocal, founder and chairman of the Berlin Reds.
We want to bring this whole thing to your region in Germany. It has to be something special. And it always is.
German native and adopted Scouser Peter shows us around Hotel Anfield, an incredible establishment that hosts Liverpool fans from around the globe each and every week.
I definitely qualify for the Scouts passport by now.
Stephanie Hempel takes us on a tour of Hamburg, where Liverpool's most famous sons, the Beatles, honed their craft in the 1960s.
Liverpool and Hamburg, these 2 cities really gave the world the most beautiful music.
And the Toten Hosen rock star and close friend of the Klopp family, Campino, shares his stories of Jürgen, including partying with him in the aftermath of the defeat in Kiev.
Madrid and all the fucking luck.
We were all completely drunk. We were not really knowing what we were doing at that time.
It will be streaming exclusively on redmenplus.com from September 21st. So head over there, sign up and experience the German connection with German Scousers. Yeah, do check out our fantastic documentary, German Scousers, looking into the incredible relationship between German Liverpool fans and, of course, the great city of Liverpool, coming up on the 21st September on redmenplus.com. Really, really good stuff. Champions League fixtures then. Tomorrow, Tuesday night, also same time as us, or at the early kickoffs. In fact, first and foremost, Victoria Plitzen taking on Inter Milan. Sporting host Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, we're the 8 o'clock kickoff on Tuesday. Bayern Barca promises to be the Lewandowski derby. Yeah, that we never knew we needed in our lives. Porto Club Bruges, Marseille Eintracht Frankfurt, and Leverkusen Atletico Madrid. On to Wednesday, Shakhtar host Celtic, Milan host Dinamo Zagreb, Rangers Napoli from our group has been moved to the Wednesday, which is said to be a policing issue as well, and there's no Napoli fans in that, and there'll be no Rangers fans at Napoli as well in the return for it. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Interesting to see, again, if that's just a little thing that gives Rangers just something. Be nice if they just grab the draw.
Why is there no Rangers fans going to Napoli?
I honestly don't know whether this is like a tit for tat, like fairness thing, because Napoli fans can't, because of the fixture being moved. I guess, maybe again because of a policing thing. Someone will have a more sensible answer to this that maybe is the right answer, so I don't want to speculate and accidentally offend all Napoli and Rangers fans. Let us know if you know in the comments. Anyway, Chelsea host RB Salzburg, Real Madrid host RB Leipzig, Copenhagen host Sevilla, Juventus host Benfica, Maccabi Haifa have PSG, and Man City have Dortmund on the Wednesday. You're right though, in terms of the City stuff. I don't expect them anything from Wolves. With them, you've just said that's who they've got, right? So, but it's one of those things where just City just having to go through some physical exertions. It's all I'm clinging on to at this point. I was just have some tough games. They'll probably win both of them. Yeah. Both of them. They'll probably win both of them because they do. But you know what? If they really get put through the ringer, that'll be lovely.
I know. It'd be interesting because you forget about Haaland, don't we? Because City is so irrelevant. That's we were saying the Lowy derby. That's the Haaland derby.
Yeah.
Literally. I'll tell you what's an interesting one. I don't know if you've thought of this just on those games. I'm half glad that Chelsea's first league game with Potter isn't likely to be against us.
Yeah.
But that game in the Champions League's a little bit sooner. He's only had a few days to train. Be interesting to see what comes out there, because I don't think their players thought they were getting a new manager. So it's not like, we've got a new guy. It's like, oh shit,
here we go.
Where's Tommy?
Yeah. I hope you haven't all read his tweets. They'll be crying into their pre-match activation pass there. Actually, I hadn't even looked at the City stuff, but obviously Dortmund at home and then travelling to Wolves. It's the early kick-off on Saturday, that Wolves game, and obviously it's not like you've got a massive journey from Manchester down to Wolverhampton, but just again Wednesday night early kick-off. If Dortmund can leg them a bit, that would be absolutely splendid. But ultimately, until we know whether Liverpool's games are going ahead or not, it's mad, because we were looking at it last weekend going, there's a chance there, City versus Tottenham, they lose some points, we beat Wolves, and all of a sudden the gap's down to 2 points, and you're thinking that's loads more manageable. But right now, is psychologically, we kind of have to. We'll worry about that when we come to it. Champions League is the focus. Okay, then what are our 11s going to be, Jamie? Your Liverpool manager for the night. Who's going out on the pitch for us?
So I'm playing Alisson, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Tsimikas. Sorry, Robbo. Hope you're back soon.
Well soon.
Elliot, Fabinho, and Thiago. You might have swayed me with Jota, because I was going to just do Diaz, Salah and Nunez. Okay. But I'm wondering maybe Jota from the start. I just didn't want to...
This is you though. What would you do?
It's based on his fitness. I I'm pretty right. We're doing Jota from the start. Go on a bit. I'm doing Jota on the left. I'm doing Nunez, and I'm doing Salah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going the exact same team, but I'm starting Diaz only because I think he's our forward that's looked likely, and he's had a few extra days. So just to recap: Alisson, Tsimikas and Trent on the flanks, Matip and Van Dijk. By the way, why Matip didn't start in Naples surprised me, but anyway, we need him back in. The difference was stark. Thiago, Elliott and Fab. But I reckon we see Artur a bit more in this game. I think he might be one of the first subs.
Yeah.
And then I've personally gone with Diaz, Nunez and Salah. Isn't it mad though that we're picking, like, we have no idea what the strike force is going to be, and we've always known forever what it was going to be.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's true, isn't it? On the centre half thing, I totally agree on Matip, just as he was so much better. Now, of course, again, the type of game had shifted, and ultimately we conceded within 2 minutes of him coming on the pitch anyway. And this is where one of those things that you lose the opportunity with the Wolves game going. I wonder whether Jürgen would have chucked Joe straight back in again, because we saw this. We mentioned the Tottenham game at Wembley or whatever, when Lovren gets hooked and everyone's like, "That's the end of Dejan Lovren," and then next week, there you go, Lovren back in. Go and prove everyone wrong, mate. Go and put in a good game. It's just that, because if there's then not to be a game at the weekend, you don't want to have some lads going too long without football, because that's then going to unsettle what you're looking to do when you get back from the international break. So I think Matip probably will start. But if you could guarantee Chelsea was the weekend, or if we'd been in slightly better form around it, I wouldn't have been against Gomez, because he has a shit moment, and then unfortunately I don't think he can dig himself out of the problem. But I'm not sure where you go with Gomez, and it's whether Klopp's he's got enough wiggle room at the moment to take a punt on Gomez again, to go, no, go on mate, go and have a good game, and then I'll bring Matip back in for you and let Matip have a good old run. But you've rehabilitated Gomez and left him as a useful thing, whereas I wouldn't be keen on what happens in a few weeks' time when Matip's inevitably picked up another injury and Gomez has to start, and the last game he's had is having an absolute torrid time in Naples. So I could make a little story around that, but
the only thing I've seen out there from other people as well is getting rid of Trent for a game or two because of his, all these videos going whatever. Yeah, I'm playing right back. Yeah,
play Gomez right back. Okay, yeah, I'm not totally opposed to that as an idea, but he won't again because Trent's too good. He just Trent's like Van Dijk's been shite as well, and Fabinho's been shite, and look, Fabinho's got no cover, so he's going to play because of that. Actually, kind of realistically, so's Trent too, and almost so's Virgil. These lads need to play themselves back into form. World class players need to be allowed to go and prove their world class status again, and that's the problem with being world class, is that particularly in the eyes of your own fans, I think from afar, like we'll always be like, well, he was world class definitely when he was playing for Barcelona. When you don't watch Barcelona week in week out, like I'm certain Iniesta must have had 10 out of 10 every single week. I bet he had some shit games, but we don't care to know it. But when you're watching your own fans, you've almost got to prove your world class status every week, and particularly with how Liverpool play, I think you do. That those levels I mentioned at the top, those levels of intensity, that's your entry requirements for the Liverpool team. So let's hope they can get back to that, and if they can add the sparkle of magic on top, then fucking great. I think the midfield picks itself. I think the back four picks itself, and I think the front three, I would start Diaz, Jota, Salah, and I would go back to Nunez being given 30 minutes. If there's certain key games, him and Jota can flip. But I think we do need to be careful with Diaz, and maybe that's a situation where it depends how fit Jota is. If you can get 90 out of him, I'd do 60 up front and do 30 on the left. But we'll see on that. Let me know your 11s. You're the manager. What are you doing? Pop quiz, hot shot. What do you do? What do you do? Great. Klopp's press conference is available on our YouTube channel. It is available on all good podcasting services like Spotify and iTunes and all that kind of stuff, where you can get our free podcasts. The press conference reaction with Chloe Bloxham will be up on redmenplus.com. The podcast extra, where we had a good old chat about the fallout from obviously the weekend's events, that is available over on Redmen Plus as well. And of course, if you didn't see it last week, we had Saskia Jade on, which was hilarious, the most hilarious podcast extra of all time, the most viewed and listened to podcast extra of all time. Of course, ridiculously brilliant, funny and completely uncut. Loads of stuff over on Redmen Plus if you want to get more Liverpool content in your lives. You want happy stuff, you want documentary stuff, you want to have someone to give you a shoulder to cry on. We've got you covered. 13 years. This is our 13th year. Liverpool was shite 13 years ago. So we're very well versed in how to cope through bad times. So yeah, we've got you covered. Hopefully Liverpool win against Ajax. We'll all have a big happy smile on our face, and we can kick on towards the funeral or whatever afterwards, and then worry about what comes after the international break.
Is that England playing or?
Right, Sam, thank you so much to Sam and to Jamie and to you guys watching and listening. I hope you're amazing. I hope you have a boss week. See you all soon. Ta-ra. Thank you so much for joining us on this video. Do drop a like and share it on social media if you enjoyed. And if you want more from us, please do consider joining Redmen Plus, our Liverpool streaming service. Get access to documentaries about Liverpool legends, past and present, interviews with Liverpool legends, past and present, and more Redmen shows each and every week in video and in podcast. It's redmenplus.com.